Hello and welcome back to my channel MiTutorials. So this is the week 2 tutorial of Introduction to Python. I hope you have watched the week 1 tutorial and you found that interesting. In the last tutorial, we learned about what Python is used for, what are the capabilities of Python and where you can apply Python. And we also learned about how to get started with Python using the Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab. We learned about different types of cells that are available in the notebook. We saw some basic calculations over here and we did some print statements. We also learned to create some variables and perform some basic calculations in the last tutorial. So let's jump to our week 2 tutorial where we will be talking about lists, we will be talking about tuples, we will be talking about dictionaries. Now these are the different data structures that are available within Python and which are commonly used across Python. Before we get started with the different data structures which are available in Python, I want to take you through one more topic, which is understanding different types of variables. We have different types of variables within Python. Let's say, for example, in the last tutorial, like we learned to assign values to a certain variable. In this case, number 5 is assigned to the variable x, and in the second scenario over here, 10.5 is assigned to the variable y. All of them over here are different types of variables. What I mean by different types of variables, let's type in a command over here which says type of the variable x, and let's run this and see what is the output that we get. We've got the output here as integer, meaning that this is a whole value and this does not have any decimal places in that, and it is considered as an integer. Likewise, if I look at what the type is of the variable y, if I run this piece of code over here, this is returning the type as float, meaning that this has a decimal value. Remember, integer stands for a whole value, wherein the float type means that it is a decimal value. Now let's look at the type of z over here. So in the z variable over here, we're talking about whether x is less than y or not. So this basically, if I run this piece of code over here, so this returns me, it is a boolean. Now what this is doing is, if I have to just run this separately, let me just run this code separately and show you what exactly is this returning. Let me print z and run this code over here. So this is returning the value as true because x is indeed less than y. So as you can see over here, the x is 5 and y is 10.5. Obviously y is greater, and that is why this is returning that yes, x is less than y, it is true, and the type of variable here is boolean. Short form for boolean is bool over here. So anything that is true or false is considered as a boolean type. So we have another variable over here which is c, wherein a string has been assigned to the particular variable over here. So if we look at the type of the variable c here, we have got the type of this particular variable as string. Str is the short form for string. So if you look at this, there are different types over here. We have integer, we have float, we have boolean, we have string. So these are the different types of variables. Now let's go ahead and look at what are lists. So lists, like the name suggests, it is a list of multiple variables. Now in the last tutorial, we saw how to assign one value to a particular variable, wherein we assign the value 5 here to the variable x. Wherein lists are, you can assign multiple values to a particular variable here. In this case, the variable is cars, wherein we have assigned this particular list which contains multiple items in it to this particular variable called as cars. So the lists are enclosed with square brackets and they are separated by a comma. For example, there are these two elements over here, which is BMW and Audi, and they are separated by a comma. Comma is basically the identifier that there are two different elements in that particular list. These lists also allow us to have duplicates in them, and they can also be changed. For example, let's say I have Hyundai over here, and if I want to replace this particular value with something else, I can do that. We will look at changing the values as we go forward in this tutorial. And then I have another list that is created over here called as model, wherein I have the model names of all the cars belonging to these brands. So let's run this code and assign all of these brand names to the list called cars. And let me print out the cars value as well. So if I print out the variable cars over here, these are all the brand names which are present in this particular variable. Likewise for model, if I run this, all of the models over here are assigned to this particular variable called as model. So let's check the length of the list, meaning how many elements are there in that particular list. So if I check the length of cars, I am going to get an output of 5, meaning that there are 5 different brand names in that particular list. Now let's create another list containing some integer values in this, which is a new list, and I'm calling this as BHP. Let me run this, and if I have to check the minimum value which is present in this particular list, I can simply do min of open parenthesis and type in BHP, which is the variable that we have over here, and if I run this code, I'm going to get the value as 120, which is the minimum value in this particular list. Likewise, I can also check the maximum value which is present in that list. I can do max of PHP and this will return me the value 350, which is the maximum value in that particular list. Now let's say that you want to access the second value from the list. For example, in the cars list over here, I want to access the second value, which is Audi. And if I scroll down over here, let me run this code and I tell you what exactly is happening. So I have typed in the variable, which is cars, and within the square brackets over here, I've typed in the value as 1. But you might be wondering that I asked for a second value, but why am I entering 1 over here? So the way Python works and many other languages work is based on the index value. In Python, the index value starts from 0, meaning that the first element over here, the index value of the first element is 0, and for the second element here is 1, and for third element it is 2. Yes, I understand that this is a little confusing, but this is how most of the programming languages work. But with time and practice, you will get adjusted to that. So remember that the first value over here is the index value 0 and the second value over here is index value 1. So now if I run cars and the index value 1, which is 0 and 1, it is going to return me the second value which is present in that particular list. Now if I want the first value, I'm going to say cars and 0 within square brackets, and if I run this, I'm going to get the output as BMW, which is the first value present in that particular list. Now if I want, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, I want the fourth value in that particular list. I need to enter 3 over here. If I run this, I'm going to get Jaguar, which is the fourth value, 0, 1, 2, 3. But 1, 2, 3, 4, this is what we think it is. This is the fourth value, but Python thinks that this is 0. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we enter 3 over here, this is going to return the value as Jaguar, which is actually the fourth value according to us, but not according to Python. Now we've learned how to get one single value from a list. Let us learn how to get multiple values from the list. For example, if you want to get the values here from BMW to Mercedes, which is 3 values. So let's come back over here. So let's get the first 3 items in the list. And if I run this code over here, which is basically cars, the variable that we have, and within the square brackets over here, I'm defining that it needs to begin from the 0th index colon, meaning that it has to go from the value 0 until the next number that is mentioned over here, which is 3. Now you'll be a little surprised to see here, because you said that the third index value is going to fetch us the fourth value in the list, but over here it is only returning 3 entries, because we expected from 0 to 3, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. There are 4 brand names that needs to be in this output, but however we are only seeing 3 brand names over here. So what is happening? So what's happening basically here is Python works a little differently, and when we define a number before the colon over here, it means that this number is inclusive. and the number after the colon means that it is exclusive. Now what I mean by that, let me make this a little simple. What I mean is I have the code cars. In these brackets I have 0 is to 3 colon 3. Now I'm saying that it needs to start from 0, which is BMW, and then go on till 3, right? So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. It needs to go till Jaguar. But the way Python works is that it does not include the third value or third index value, which is Jaguar, and it terminates at the second index value, and it does not include the third value over here. So if I am doing this, it's saying that include 0 but exclude 3 in it. So if I do 4 over here, it's going to get me the 4 elements that are present in that particular list. I hope this is not very confusing, but believe me, if you are practicing this, it becomes really easy. You will start understanding things very easily. Like I said in the earlier tutorial as well, it might look very easy, but please do some hands-on exercises. Try to create these lists, and only then you are going to learn. Otherwise, if just by looking at this tutorial, you are not going to learn this. Please spend some time practicing what I am doing, and you will learn Python very, very quickly, only when you practice. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's see how we can get the last item in the particular list. So let's say in the last item that we have in the list is Hyundai. So what we can do is we can call the variable cars, and within the square brackets I'm gonna say -1. When I say -1, it means that the last item which is available in that particular list. So if I run this code, it's going to return me the value as Hyundai. So if I do this as -2, it's going to return the last second value in that particular list, which is nothing but Jaguar. So this is how you can call the last values present in the list. You can do from last, you're looking at, this is the -1 value, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4, this is -5. I hope this is clear and simple. So now let's say that in this particular list that I have over here, all of these brands are luxury brands, but Hyundai is not considered to be a luxury brand, and I don't want to have Hyundai in that particular list. I want to remove or get rid of the brand Hyundai in this particular list. So there are multiple ways of doing that. One of the way to do this is using the variable, calling cars variable dot pop method. Removes the last item present in that particular list. So if I run this code over here, it is going to say that it has removed Hyundai. Now if I run the variable cars over here, it's going to return the 4 variables that we have over here, and it has removed the element Hyundai from that particular list. Now let's say I want to add another brand name to that particular list. I can do that in various ways. One of the ways is using cars.append, and within the parentheses, I'm going to enter the brand name that I want to get added to this particular list. And if I run this code, and let's add another cell over here and print this particular list over here, you will see that Audi has been entered once again in this particular list. This means that the lists also allows having duplicate values. Now let's say that you appended the brand name Audi over here, but it is already existing, and you want to change this element, which is Audi over here, to something else because you added this by mistake. And instead of using the pop method and then using the append method to add a new element to that particular list, what we can do is we can change the elements within a list using the index value. In this case, let's say if I run cars and within the square brackets the index value, if I just run this, it's going to return me the Audi, which is this. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that the indexing value in Python starts from 0. We are looking at calling the 4th index value, which is Audi, over here, and this is what we've got. And now if I can simply assign using the assign operator over here, I can say that assign value Volvo to the 4th index value of the list cars. Now if I run this code over here, you will see that the value Volvo has been assigned to Audi over here. Let me add a new line of code over here and run the list that we have, and you will see that the value Audi over here has been replaced with the value Volvo. We can also sort the list over here, and we can use the function which is cars.sort within the parenthesis. And if I sort this out, and let me call this variable again, you will see that Audi has come in the first place, and then BMW, Jaguar, Mercedes and Volvo. Now this is sorted in the ascending order. If you want to sort this by descending order, you will have to pass an argument within the sort function, which is reverse is equals to true. Remember that this is within the parenthesis over here. If I run this code over here and if I call out cars again, you will see that the list over here is sorted in the descending order. You can also join or combine multiple lists into one particular list. Let's say that I have another list of cars over here, Hyundai, Fiat, Maruti and Mahindra, in the new variable which is called as cars2, and if I run this code over here, all of these get assigned to the variable cars2. All of these brands are now assigned to the variable cars2, and if I want to combine the variable cars that we created earlier with cars2, I can simply use the plus operator and mention both the lists that we have over here and assign both these lists to the another new variable called as all cars. If I run this, both these lists have been assigned to a new variable called as all cars. So if I look at all cars now, you will see that we have a list from Volvo all the way up till Mahindra. These are the new cars that we added to that particular list. Now these were the basics about lists. Let's look at a tuple now. Tuples are very similar to a list when it comes to indexing, meaning that it starts from 0, goes on 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one thing about tuple is that tuples are immutable. While lists are mutable, tuples are immutable. Now what I mean by immutable is, let's say for example, you've created this tuple over here. Please note that the tuples are enclosed within parentheses instead of square brackets that we saw for the list. So lists are created within square brackets and then tuples are created within parentheses and separated by commas, just like how they were separated in lists. Now tuples are immutable, and what I mean by that is once the elements or the values are assigned to a particular tuple, you cannot change the values in that particular tuple. Meaning that let's say you have incorrectly added the Hyundai as a brand name in this particular tuple, you will not be able to edit this particular tuple. Once a tuple is created, it is created. These tuples are created in a scenario where you do not want anybody to change the values available in that particular list. Let's go ahead and create this tuple over here. Within the parenthesis, I have a new tuple over here. I'm going to assign these elements to the variable called as cars tuple, and then I'm going to assign this, and then I'm going to also print the tuple over here. So this is the tuple enclosed within parentheses, unlike the list which was enclosed within square brackets. So whenever you see some elements enclosed within parentheses, this means that this is a tuple. So let's check the type of the tuple now. Type and the variable over here, this has returned as tuple, exactly what we were expecting. So let's access the items in tuple using the index value, similar to how we saw in lists. This here also the indexing value begins with 0, and if we want to know the third index value in this particular list, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going to return the Jaguar, which is the fourth value according to us. If I run this over here, this is going to return the value Jaguar. Now, like I said earlier, tuples are immutable and we cannot change the values once created. So if I have to assign or change the value of the third index value within the cars tuple to BMW, if I run this code over here, this is going to throw an error saying that tuple object does not support item assignment. We cannot change the values within a tuple once it is created. Now let's look at the third data structure type, which is dictionary. Dictionary is also used to store multiple values, but in dictionary there are keys and there are values. Now what I mean by that is basically if you look at this particular code over here, so this is a dictionary which is enclosed within curly brackets. So anywhere you see curly brackets, that means that it is a dictionary. Now these are the keys within the dictionary, which is brand, model and year, and then I have the corresponding values assigned to that particular key. These are the values and this is the key. The value Audi is assigned to the key brand. Likewise, the value 2022 is assigned to the key year over here. So if I create this dictionary, let's run this code over here and let's add a new line of code and call this particular variable, which is car_details. You will see that this is a dictionary which is enclosed within curly brackets. We have the brand and the corresponding value, which is Audi. Likewise, we have model and the model of the car, and then we have the year 2022 over here. Let's check the type of the dictionary that we created or the variable that we created, which is car details. If I run this code, this is going to return dict, which is the short form for dictionary. Now let's say we want to only access the key model over here in this particular dictionary. I can simply call the variable, which is car_details, and then within these square brackets we've entered the key over here, which is model. And if I run this code over here, this will return me the value A8. With tuple, we saw that they are immutable. We could not change the values once assigned or created, but the dictionaries here are mutable. We can change the values. Let us say, for example, when we created this dictionary over here, the value in the year key 2022 was incorrectly assigned and we want to change this to 2021. We can do that simply by calling the variable car_details. Within the square brackets, we can mention the key over here, which is year, and assign the value 2021 to this. If I run this code over here and call the variable car details or the dictionary over here, you will see that the value in the year key has now changed to 2021. We can also create dictionary with lists. Now we've created this dictionary with just only one item in this particular dictionary, which is Audi, A8 and 2022. Now let's say you want to add some more brand names to this particular brand key, some more models to this particular model key over here. We can also create that by using the list that we created over here. Remember, we created the list of cars and then list of model. We can simply pass these lists into the dictionary over here. So I'm creating a new variable here called as car_dict, and then I have an operator here assigning all of these values to this particular variable, and within the curly brackets over here I have a key which is brand, and then I have a colon here, and then this is the list that I am passing to this particular key. If you look at this over here, we pass the value or the element to this particular key over here, but over here we are passing a list of cars to this particular key. Likewise, for the model, I am passing the model list to the key model over here. So if I run this piece of code and let's print out and let's see what exactly do we have in the car_dict variable now. So if I look at this, it has a list of values within that particular dictionary. So I have the brand, I have the list of all the brands that we passed in with which created in earlier. Likewise, for the model, I have the list of all the models that we have in that particular list. So now let's say I want to remove the last value in this particular key over here, which is brand. So I can simply type in the variable, which is car_dict, and then within the square brackets, I can have the key over here, which is brand, and then followed by pop. If you do not mention anything within the parenthesis over here, it means that it is the last value that is going to get removed. If I run this over here, it's going to remove the value Hyundai from the brand key over here. Now, if you have to look at the keys which are present in that particular dictionary, I can do car_dict.keys. I can call the variable over here and then dot keys and then open and close parenthesis. It's going to return the keys which are present in that particular dictionary, which is brand and model. Likewise, I can also do it for values. I can call the variable dot values, open and close parenthesis. If I run this, this will give me all the values present in that particular dictionary. Now, let's say you want to access certain values from that particular dictionary. You can call the variable and then within the square brackets, you can mention the key that you want to access the information. And then I want the first value present, the first index value present in that particular key over here. And if I run this over here, and I'm going to get the brand name as Audi, which is the first index value. Remember, the indexing starts from 0. So the first value is going to be 0 and the second value is going to be the index value 1. That is exactly what it is returning it as, Audi. Within dictionary, duplicate keys are not allowed, meaning that you cannot create the keys with the same name. For example, I have the key brand over here repeated twice and I'm trying to assign a different value to the key brand over here. So what happens if I run this piece of code? Let's see. And if I call this particular variable over here, you will see that the brand is 1 and then we have the model key containing all the values from the list that we provided in this particular model variable over here. But we also gave the variable cars to this particular brand key. But notice that this has been replaced by the value 1 over here, meaning that if I create multiple keys with the same name, it is going to replace with the newest value present in that particular dictionary. For example, now that we have seen we've got this particular output over here, if I add another key over here, and I'm going to call this as new key, okay, and if I run this code over here, and let me run this code as well, you will see that the brand now says new key and we have the model intact because we've not made any changes to that. Now you will see that the first, basically it assigns all the cars list of values present in the variable cars to the key brand, and then it assigns and then it replaces the value 1 to the brand key, and then again, since it's saying the brand key again, and it assigns this value to the key brand and it prints out the value as new key under the key brand. Which means that the duplicate keys are not allowed and you will have to be careful when you're trying to use duplicate keys in a dictionary. So with this, I would like to end the week 2 tutorial of Introduction to Python. I hope you guys find my tutorial interesting. If you have any feedback or comments, please do let me know in the comment section. And also, like I said, I've mentioned earlier, I want to mention this again. You guys need to practice. Without practice, you are not going to learn Python. So whatever that you see here on this tutorial, I would want you to just replicate that and create this yourself. And that is going to really go a long way in terms of learning Python this year. So that's it, guys, in this particular tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You're learning something new today. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more such tutorials.